Welcome. It's Tuesday, December 16th, 25. Uh, we should, in theory, be probably starting a Santite rally right now. Um, there's a lot of selling going on in the market, and there's a lot of talk out in the community about the AI trade being over, about the bubble popping, about this and about that. So I would like to start by taking a look at where are we in the market? Are we actually bearish? Are we actually bullish? Or are we just bounced? What's going on underneath the hood here? Okay. So we're starting off by looking at market internals, the most recent market internals. Here on the bottom left of the screen, we do have a giant red bar that had significant outflow volume today. Negative 476 million or whatever. Um, okay, so we had a significant amount of sell volume today. Days before have not been all that significant, and we've had several really significant buying days. So to me, when I look at the volume pattern, probably more balanced than bearish. Looking at ADD, negative 1085 was our low today. We started at negative 105. Yes, bearish, but not extreme. Certainly not extreme. Yesterday we were at a high of 1395, did downtrend all day, got to negative 400. Still nothing too extreme there. Um, the cumulative tick has moved to it's gone negative on the cumulative tick, but it's really just flat. Cumulative tick today, negative 360. Day before, not much different. Day before was quite a bit more bearish, but I don't see any big, huge red flags when it comes to the basic market internals. Let's dig a little deeper. And flip to the junk bond chart, see what's going on there. This is the junk bond daily chart. Let me zoom in. Clearly, very clearly, we have been stuck in a bounce and consolidation on junk bonds. If we go to the previous set of highs, we're sitting above the previous set of highs. So I can't call that bearish. I can just call it bounce consolidation. Let's go to LQD, corporate grade investment. Zoom in on a daily here. We are sitting above the previous set of highs. We're barely sitting above it, but we're sitting above it. We do have what could be a bearish reversal pattern, some type of head of shoulders type looking thing here. But at the end of the day, we're still above this 110.21, which is kind of the line in the sand for being bullish on corporate grade. But at where we stand now, I think it's still okay. And same spot we've been in for the last 3 days and really not far from where we've been for the last several weeks. All right, so let's take a look at SPY. And it is almost the end of the year. Let's take a look at monthly, or let's take a look at the year chart. All right. On SPY's yearly chart, where are we? Oh my God, we're almost at the very top of the candle. Does that look bearish on the year? No, absolutely not. It was a significant year. Look at that. We pushed to these previous highs and created a higher low, and now we've created a higher high. Definition of an uptrend. Weekly chart. Uh, weekly chart, we had a nice big bullish candle 4 weeks ago, and we're just basically had inside bars since then. These almost look like a bullish three, four, five bar plays or something like that. But end of the story, we're at the top. Uh, so daily chart, zoom in here on the SPY daily. Let's see what happened today. We came down, touched 675. Buyers stepped up and we pushed right up. 675. What was that? Oh, it was the previous high on the trend. Great spot for a higher low. Uh, so we're looking below this range. If we can get back above this 679.50 tomorrow, or if we can get above today's high a day tomorrow, what do we have on our hands then? Well, then we will have a look below and fail. And that is absolutely bullish if that does happen. Has it happened yet? No. But I can definitely see on the chart where there's a good chance that, you know what, maybe that is going to be what happens. So I am not ready to be bearish about much of anything right now. I can definitely say that we have been in a lot of consolidation and a lot of bounce. But the market's not in this big, huge amount of trouble. We're seeing rotation. I think things are fine, really. And I think that consolidation is completely reasonable after the massive, absolutely gigantic move to the upside that since April, it was basically vertical up. So this is totally reasonable what we're seeing. We've only been consolidating what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So we've been consolidating for like 3 weeks and we just broke below. And if we can get back into this range, then I would be thinking that this would be the next step if we get back into that range. Come back in, get a higher low, and head back up towards these all-time highs right here. And then after that, the next step is a higher low over the all-time high to create a new all-time high. But let's consider if that doesn't happen. Well, if that doesn't happen and we do turn bearish, I would not really say that I am bearish on SPY at least until I get a lower high below 673.50. If that happens, I will put my bearish hat on because that'll mean that we lose the 20 SMA, the 50 SMA. It will also mean that we looked above this China high range and failed. So that's what it's going to take for me to get bearish. Today was what I would think was a perfect higher low for an uptrend. Break, but when we have consolidation like this, it is not uncommon for us to come down, liquidate, come back in, get a higher low, and then continue. Not uncommon at all. Seen it many, 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 many times. Um, that's how they get the juice for it to move up. Can't get it to move up out of the range by itself. Create a little sell-off, create some liquidity, and boom, shoots back up. So that's my gut feeling for probably what's going to happen. Um, so let's take a look at QQQ, which has been quite a bit more bearish than SPY, admittedly. And QQQ is just barely under that China high area. So I'm considering anything under 611.25 to be bearish for QQQ. Today's price action closed us just barely above that level. So I'm not running to trade QQQ right now. I think it's been kind of a difficult trader lately. for the most part. So if I was gonna get bullish on it though and go to the long side, I would want to see a higher low above 613.18. Otherwise, a move back below today's low a day, something like that. That's what I'd be looking for on the QQQ. Tech, I mean, obviously there's been some type of rotation out of tech into other things like retail and healthcare and things like that, right? Hopefully everyone knows that. Let's take a look at the other two important indexes right now. Let's look at DIA diamonds. Looking good here. I think the perfect spot for a higher low here is 480.35. So let's say if tomorrow we come down and test this level again, buyers step it up, I would be looking for it to continue back up to the upside. Let's take a quick look, a quick look at IWM, the Russell, see where that stands. So IWM did create a new all-time high, has since fell back into this kind of junk range. But if we look at the most recent trend, um, where did it stop? It stopped right at these previous highs right there, right? Support held it so far. So what I'd be looking for, if I can get long on this, is probably a higher low above 252.75 to continue back to the upside. If we come back down into here, I would probably just avoid it for the most part. Not really running to short this right now. Let's take a look at the one stock that used to rule them all, NVIDIA. What is going on NVIDIA? Let's zoom out more because I have not even looked at this chart or updated it yet. Um, Today was before today opened, I would have looked at this, said we have a bullish three or a bearish 3 bar play. Um, we also have a big potential head and shoulders right here, but also if we go back in time, way over here, we had a head and shoulders here. What happened? We popped below it, it recovered, and then it continued way higher. So it held it before, didn't sell off on the head and shoulders before, the inverted head and shoulders, it moved up. So the line in the sand here on NVIDIA is 174.62. Can we continue to hold that level? If we can't hold it, there might be some trouble to the bear side for NVIDIA. And I wouldn't want to get involved on the long side till we got way above all this junk, probably 185. So really, I haven't been trading it. It has not been a good trader. It's been very much in consolidation for quite some time now, but it is definitely worth paying attention to and seeing where it's at on the chart because it does have quite a big effect on the market in general and on, semiconductors and all that stuff. So let's take a look at the new stock market jewel right now. None other than Tesla, right? Tesla, I believe, created new all-time highs today. Yes, it did. Tesla has a new all-time high today. I mean, it's been trading beautifully ever since this double bottom right here, straight up pretty much to the upside. Um, I've got involved above 456. I sold at the new break of the all-time high today, hoping to get re-involved tomorrow. So what I'm looking for on Tesla is going to be, can we just pull back to this 488.50 and hold? Do something like this. I mean, Tesla hardly ever gives clean higher lows like this. I mean, when it breaks, it usually just goes straight up, honestly, and it's can be incredibly difficult to get involved. So if you don't have a huge account and you're not an expert trader, I probably wouldn't trade Tesla options. The price on them is extremely volatile. You can lose a lot of money really fast if you don't execute perfectly. And you got to remember, you're trading against the smartest traders in the world. So, uh, do you think that you're going to execute perfectly? And can you afford it? If so, trade Tesla options. If not, maybe look at TSLL, which is a leverage version of Tesla, much cheaper to trade. It does have options you can trade or shares you can buy. Might be an easier way to get involved on Tesla without so much risk on the table and so much swings in massive prices. So the ideal would be pull back to this 488.50, or I would take a higher low over the yesterday high a day. I mean, I definitely am of the belief this thing is probably going to go higher. Um, I mean, we're coming from a major a major move down in this thing. So, uh, the catalyst that's moving on right now is I believe that the self-driving in Austin, the robo taxi or whatever, is full blown, fully autonomous now. So I think that's what's going on. I might also consider any pullbacks that hold of 481 and then to go higher, something like that. However it looks, if it looks one of those three ways, count me in. Absolutely count me in. Did wonderful on Tesla today and yesterday. So there is that. Let's take a look at Google. All right, Google has finally very slowly and meticulously pulled back to this 302.60 level, which is where we will hope that a higher low picks up. I would also be willing to pick one up at 291.65. But tomorrow, if Google can do something like this, maybe it gets out of this funk, double bottoms right here, I would be looking to get involved to the long side on something like that. If it does come below this level, I probably won't get involved. I'll probably just wait and see what happens down here at 291.65. So that's what I'd be looking for on Google and waiting for. To take a look at another interesting one, semi-interesting right now would be Meta. Let's flip over here to the daily chart and zoom in. All right, so something to make note of with Meta is that when there has been these big sell-offs on all these other tech names, Meta already sold off before all them, and it's holding relative strength now. If you look at this, this kind of looks like it could turn out to be a higher low on the daily chart, and maybe Meta picks it up right here. So today we had a nice green body bar. So tomorrow, can we get a higher low above 659.75? Head back up towards this earnings gap down right here. We do need to be aware that the 50 and the 200 SMA are both right above this level, and we could get a selling reaction off of them. So if you are going to trade long off of this, be aware of that risk. But that would be the next step in heading towards closing this earnings gap up here, which is huge. So that's the watch I am watching out for on Meta. The alternative route would be if it breaks up below 637.50 with a lower high, I think it would be reasonable to short it right on down to at least 614.75, if not 604. Totally reasonable for that to happen if it got below 637.50. Um, and we'll take a look at Amazon. On the daily here, Amazon is back inside this junky bounce range over here. That's the first thing we need to be aware of. Next thing is we had this big move down, and then today we had basically an inside day that held to the lower portion of that previous engulfing bearish bar. So that is what you want to see on a 3-bar setup. So this would be called a bearish 3-bar play. What you would be looking for is any lower high below today's lower day. To go short, probably down here to 217.20. I think that would be a totally reasonable short if we do break down below that level tomorrow. Might be a trade I would be willing to do, but we do need to be aware we're inside this junky bounce range. We're in the middle of the range, and typically you don't want to trade in the middle of a junky bounce range like that. So there's probably better trades to get involved with. That's it as far as Mag 7s that I want to take a look at today. The next chart I want to look at is Disney. I've been a fan of trading Disney lately. It's been fairly easy for me to trade for the most part. Right off the bat, I can say I don't really like this inverted hammer. I don't like that we've reached up here twice and not been able to continue on the intraday plate basis. But that said, working against this trade idea, if we can get back above this 112.67, get a higher low, I would look for this gap to close. And then if we can hold above the gap, probably head back up to these previous highs, 116.76. That's only if and then we can actually get a clean higher low above 112.67. That's probably the only thing I'd want to get involved with on this thing right now. This last red bar, did hold those SMAs and created a nice higher low. So, there is that. Next, let's take a look at gold. And I think the same trade idea is available on many different metals and gold related and silver related plays. But for sake of this, let's just look at gold. We now have a bullish, I'll call it a 4-bar play since there's 3 bars here. If we can break above today and yesterday's high day, get a higher low, I would be looking to target back up here towards 403.18 all-time high. If we do fall above below the low a day, I would disregard that trade idea. I would not trade it if tomorrow if we fall below this level right here. Okay. Let's take a look at TSM. Let me zoom in. I can't remember what I was thinking on this one. I guess what all I'm thinking here is we got a hammer candle on the daily. We held these previous flats over here, and I think it might be a little oversold on these last days. So I think it might be good for a scalp long if we can get a higher low above today's higher day, 288.45. Scalp long probably would definitely not hold any higher than 292.60. And now that I'm looking closer, we have some SMAs to contend with. So you might just scalp long to this SMA. I believe it's the 50 SMA to right there. And if I'm feeling gutsy, maybe up to 292.60, give it a try. Um, Next, RCL, Royal Caribbean Lines. All right, there's some things I like on this chart. I like that we had this inverted head and shoulders down here. We broke over the neckline, had a bullish 3-bar play, broke up, and then now we have an inside candle, and we have this big gap ahead of us, and we've got thin structure to the left-hand side. So I like all those things. If we can stay above today's low a day tomorrow or the next day or whenever it happens, and then break above this 290.65, get a higher low, I'd be looking to target the bottom of this gap, watch for gap reaction if it's going to go through it, continue up with a higher low into the gap. Um, Looks primed for this to happen. It may not happen tomorrow, but as long as we can hold this 281.40, I would continue to watch out for the possibility of that happening. That's it. That's all the charts I'm going to be watching for tomorrow. Have a good one. Like, subscribe, follow, share your ideas, all that good stuff. I will try to post more often. Just had a lot of family stuff going on and not time to make videos. Have a good one.